In Premiere Elements, there's many ways to make your movie. One of those ways is under the Create menu in something called Video Story. With Video Story, we literally walk you through chapter by chapter the story that you can make with your video. So let's go ahead and give it a try. I'm going to click Video Story. I'm presented with a bunch of different categories for the type of story I might want to tell. I'm going to go ahead and tell a birthday story today. So I'll click on Birthday. And there are many different birthday templates that I can choose from. I'm just going to go ahead and pick the first one. So right here, I'm going to click the Get Started button on the template that I want to use, and we'll get going with our video. The first thing I need to do is tell Elements what video clips and photos, if I want to put photos in there, I want to use to tell my story. There's lots of places over here on the left that I can actually go get video and photos from. I'm going to pick the Elements organizer because that's where I keep all of my stuff. Now, different people are going to have a different organizational structure for all their photos and videos. I've got some in a category called Elements Demo Files, and actually the Elements 13 list. So I'm going to scroll down. I can actually make this panel a little bit wider if I want, so I can see them side by side, so I can find the stuff I'm looking for. I'm going to scroll down towards the bottom of my E13 demo files because I know down there I've got a bunch of video clips. And I'm going to start with this one right here. I can just drag that in and it's added to my story. I can drag this video in, that's added to my story. Drag this video in, that's added to my story. If I've got a whole bunch like I do, I can multi-select by just clicking on the first one, scrolling down to the end of all the different photos and videos that I want to add to my story, holding the Shift key down. Here we go, hold the Shift key down. They are all selected. And then in just one drag and drop, I can add all of those photos and videos to what we call my story assets. Now that I've got all of the story assets in my story, all I have to do is hit Next. Down here in the bottom right is my Next button. Go ahead and hit Next. And now I've got my story overview. And the way this works is over here on the left are all of those photos and videos from that birthday party event. And then over here on the right are all the different chapters of my story. Now, depending upon which template I pick, I'm going to have different chapters, right? The chapters of a wedding story are different than the chapters of a birthday story. So what you're looking at may not look exactly like this. But basically, the task now is to simply go through all my assets and drag and drop them into the right place. So this very first chapter, this is my story title. I want to find a video that's maybe appropriate for my title. For each of these videos over here on the left, if I can't remember exactly what's in that clip, I just double click it and you can see I can quickly preview what that video looks like. So that's a good one for the title. I'm just going to drag and drop it onto my title chapter. Chapter 2 is all about the birthday star. What I want to do is over here on the left find all of the clips or photos that have my birthday star. Even if I've already used them, like that one I've already used, I can use it again, no problem. But I want to go through and just find more clips of the birthday star. Drag and drop them into that birthday star chapter until I've got enough that make it kind of interesting. So there we go. We want to drag that one in. We want to maybe drag, see if we can find another one down here near the bottom. There's another one. That's just a photo. And so I can have one or as many as I want. Scroll down through my chapter list. And I've got a chapter here called Guests Arriving. Let's scroll up here and maybe a bunch of these photos where we've got some kids sliding down the slide. Where did they go? Oh, I guess maybe they're lower in the list. So let's go down instead. I know I've got some. Here we go. So let's just maybe grab that one. And again, we can multi-select. So just start with one, hold my Shift key down, and I can select more than one and drag and drop them all at once into that chapter. We've got a chapter on decorations. Now maybe this chapter is not appropriate for the story I'm trying to tell. All I have to do is hit Delete Chapter and I can remove that from the list. Maybe food and drinks. I don't really have a lot of clips highlighting food and drinks. I'm going to go ahead and delete that chapter too. Now I've got a chapter on the cake. I know I've got a video of the birthday cake, so I'll just scroll up to where that is. This is kind of a cakey thing, and I think there's actually a better video. There we go. There's the full-on video of the birthday cake. Now, as I drag and drop stuff in here, if I want them in a different order, then I just move them. So I actually want this video of the cake before that other video, and I can just drag and drop and rearrange. That works for all of these. So maybe I wanted this one up here, just rearrange them by dragging and dropping. Couldn't be easier. And then sometimes in your event, you might have some part of the story that you want to tell that wasn't built into the original story chapter lineup. And so that's why we have this add chapter. So in this particular birthday event, there's this big race of the big wheels that I want to highlight. So I'm going to click Add Chapter, and a new chapter gets added to my story. I'm going to click on the chapter title and call it The Big Race. Here we go. So we've got a new chapter around the race, and then I can just drag and drop clips from the race into that chapter. And again, I can do them one at a time, or if I've got a whole bunch like I happen to for this one, I'm just going to scroll down through most of them, drag and drop them in. So now we've got all of our media, or as much as we want to use, sort of arranged in each of our chapters. And down in the bottom right, we just hit the next button, and Premiere Elements will then analyze all of the media that we dropped into our story chapters, find the good parts of each clip, cut out the bad parts of each clip, rearrange them, split them up, do all kinds of nice content analysis to really create the movie for us and make it look really good. So let's just go ahead and let Premiere Elements finish up analyzing the rest of our media, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, there we go. Premiere Elements is now done analyzing our media, and you can see over here on the left we've got each of our chapters, and I can click one by one through each chapter. If I want to add another chapter, right, so I start to figure out how my story is taking shape and I decide I should actually have another chapter, I can add that here. My story credits at the end. All of that stuff that I did earlier in arranging my clips into various chapters is preserved for me here. If I want that more overview kind of look, up here at the top, I can switch between the detail view and the overview view, and I can see each of my chapters. I can still rearrange clips in a chapter to my heart's content, get it exactly as I want it. I can even rearrange chapters. So say maybe the cake chapter should come after the big race. Well, I just click on this and I drag it over and let go. And now the cake chapter is after the big race chapter. So I get my chapter set up. I can look at the detail view of each chapter if I want to make any changes, like give it a different title. Instead of guests arriving, this is maybe fun on the slide. All of that kind of stuff is available to me. I can also fine-tune the look of any particular chapter. We have up here in the top right something that we call chapter mood. Now each chapter we set a recommended mood, but if instead you want maybe something a little more sentimental or maybe something a little more vibrant, you can go ahead and click on a different chapter mood. And if you really want to get into the details, this little gear here will open up a section that lets you fine-tune even more details around the mood of your chapter. Instead of the music that comes with the theme, well, you can pick custom music and browse your hard drive for any MP3 file that might be appropriate. You can mute any sound that's in your video. You can change the looks, maybe warm things up or pop the color a little bit. And you can even control the edit speed, have it really crisp and tight, or maybe normal, or even slow things down if it's a more somber occasion. So do whatever fine-tuning you want on this chapter and hit apply. There you go. You can do that for each chapter individually. If you want to see what a chapter is looking like, well, that's what this little play button here is for. So if I want to preview fun on the slide, just that chapter, not the whole movie, I just click that play button. And you can see this chapter is previewed for me. So all the mood, any of the cuts, all that analysis work that Elements did to build my video for me is all done. Now these happen to be a bunch of still images. Let's take a look at a different chapter that maybe has some video associated with it. Here we go. Let's look at the big race. I can preview the big race chapter, again, just by clicking on that preview chapter button. And you can see now we've got some video. This is the initial race video, but we've also got some stills and other video clips. They're all nicely blended together inside of this big race chapter. So I'll go ahead and stop that. When I'm all done editing each chapter as I like, I just come down here to the bottom and I can preview my entire story. So just like that, I can see all the chapters mixed together, starting with the title. In this case, I left the title My Birthday Movie, but it'll show my title slide, and then it'll go into my birthday star chapter, and on through all of the different chapters of my movie. If I want to embellish things a little more, I of course can do things like add narration. I can add captions. Pretty straightforward. I just click on that. I can type in my caption, decide exactly where I want it. If I want to do a voiceover narration, I just switch over to the narration tab, record right off my microphone, and that'll get added to my video clip as well. Once I'm done putting my story together, then I just come over here, bottom right, click Publish Story, and the exact same publishing options are available to me as are available in the regular editing environment of Premiere Elements. So I might want to just publish it out to my computer. I might want to upload it straight to a social website such as Facebook or YouTube, or I might want to push it out to my timeline so I can do further editing inside the timeline editing environment of Premiere Elements. So that's a quick overview of the new video story feature. Again, a very scripted, sort of chapter-oriented way of pulling together your video clips and your photos to be able to tell the story in exactly the way you want to tell it.